Good morning, everyone. In yesterday's session, we discussed about JPA repository. In yesterday's session, we discussed about JPA repository. JPA repository is a predefined interface available in the Spring Data JPA, which is used for code operations. JPA repository is a predefined interface available in Data JPA. Using this JPA repository, we can perform code operations with the database. Using JPA repository, we can perform code operations in database. JPA repository extending the properties from two other interfaces. JPA repository extending properties from two other interfaces. They are what are those two interfaces, guys?
Paging and sorting repository.
Pageable and sorting repository. Second one, query by example executor. Okay. Now, so what is the purpose of this pageable and sorting repository? What is the purpose of a pageable and sorting repository, guys? Pageable and sorting repository providing the methods to perform the pagination and sorting. Okay. Pageable and sorting repository provided methods to perform pagination and sorting. Providing the methods to perform pagination and sorting. Okay. Now here what we can do is we can call find by methods with the pageable object. We can call find by methods with the pageable object. We can call find all. So if we call find all method without any parameter, it is going to retrieve all the records available in the table. If I call find all method with the sort, that sorting will apply. Here we can call find all with example. You can call find all with example comma pageable. You can call find all with sorting also. Find all with example comma sort. Example comma sort. These are the several permutations and combinations. Okay, good. Now tell me, what is pagination? I hope you all gone through the video that I have given yesterday. In that video, I have explained what is pagination. Guys, could you please tell me what is pagination now? Come on, what is pagination now?
Process of
displaying total records into pages.
Pagination is the process of to divide the records into page wise.
large number of data. We are
The process of dividing total record into multiple pages called pagination.
Okay. Pagination is the process of dividing the records into multiple pages. So can you tell me what are the some of examples I have explained in the video for the pagination?
Email,
Google Maps. Gmail.
Like Google search,
Flipkart records,
Flipkart.
all these things are displaying based on
Gmail messages.
Microservice interview question.
Gmail messages, right? What is pagination? Okay. Pagination is the process of displaying records in multiple pages. Pagination is the process of displaying the records in multiple pages. We can see the example Gmail, okay, Google search results, Google search results, Flipkart products display, Flipkart products display, etc. All these comes under pagination only. When you search for the data, complete data will not be displayed in the single page. The records will be displayed in the multiple pages. That is called pagination. How many ways we can implement the pagination, guys?
2 ways.
How many ways we can implement the pagination?
2 ways.
Come
2
on.
ways.
Two types,
ways.
two ways, sir. Two ways.
Pagination can be implemented in 2 ways. One is
Client side
client-side
Server.
pagination.
Client
and
side and
server
server
side.
side.
Server side.
One is client-side pagination, and the second one is
Server
server-side
side
pagination.
pagination.
One is client-side pagination. Second one is the server-side pagination. Client-side pagination and server-side pagination. When to go for client-side pagination? Less number
Manage
of
the data.
minimum
Less
data,
number of
less
data.
number of records. Okay. When you have less number of records in the table, then you will go for client-side pagination.
Client side.
When to go for server-side pagination?
More
Large
we
number of record.
more millions of records or lakhs of records are available, then you will go for server-side pagination. Are you guys able to understand what is the pagination now? Sorting is used to apply order by clause in the SQL query. Sort technique is used to apply order by clause in SQL query. So order by, sort the records based on the name, sort the records based on the name. Okay, sort the records based on the age, sort the record based on the email ID. If you want to do such kind of operations, then you can go for sort technique. Now, what is the purpose of example by executor?
want to
What is the
filter the
purpose of
record.
example? Example object is used to filter the data based on several conditions. You just set the data to your entity object and you pass it, then it is going to apply all those conditions. While retrieving the data. Are you guys able to understand this? Anybody having any questions in these three? Good, fine. So with this, we understood what is CRUD repository, what is JPA repository. Now, can anybody tell me what is the difference between CRUD repository and JPA repository, guys? What is the difference between CRUD repository and JPA repository?
With the help of CRUD repository, we can perform only code operations.
Using CRUD repository, we can perform only code operations. Using CRUD repository, we can perform only code operations. Okay. Now, using JPA repository, we can perform code operations
plus
pagination and sorting.
plus sorting plus QBE. Okay. Using JPA repository, we can perform code operations plus pagination plus sorting plus QBE. So all these things are provided by JPA repository. Now tell me, which one is recommended to develop persistence layer in the data JPA?
JPA repository.
Repository is recommended because it is providing more functionality when compared with that CRUD repository. Very good, excellent. Done. Now let's go to our project. I want to create one more application by using data JPA, guys. File, new, Spring Starter project. Spring Starter project, that is 07. Spring Boot data JPA ORM props. Spring Boot data JPA ORM props application that I'm creating. Click on next. Lombok Oracle driver data JPA. 3 dependencies I'm selecting. Data JPA to work with the persistent layer, Oracle driver to communicate with the Oracle database, Lombok to generate the setters getters for our properties in the class. Next and finish. Observe, I'm developing project from the scratch now. Connected to the database. Yes, sir. Now the project is getting created. Yes, project got created. Inside the project, you can see pom.xml file. In that pom.xml, we have dependencies we have selected. Here I have selected 3 dependencies. One is data JPA, one is data JPA, second one is Oracle driver, third one project Lombok. Good. Now data JPA dependency we got, Oracle driver we got, JDBC, OJDBC, then project Lombok, and by default test dependency is coming. Good. Fine. Then go to application or properties file. Here we need to configure our data source properties. Most of the people are doing the mistake here. You need to select the proper keys here, guys. Spring dot data source dot driver class name. Okay. Spring dot data source dot data source dot URL. Now spring dot data source dot. Here people are getting confused. Most of the people are selecting data hyphen username, data hyphen password. That is wrong. You have to select just username, not data hyphen username. Spring dot data source dot password. Right? Data source, driver class name, data source URL, username, password. Now I'm using Oracle database, so Oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver. That is the driver class I am configuring. Now URL jdbc colon oracle colon thin colon at localhost colon 1521/xe. Okay. Now username of my database is ies_dev. Password is also same, ies_dev. So with this, I have configured data source properties, which are used to establish the connection with the database. Now, sir, in the normal JDBC programming, we will call driver manager dot data source, driver manager dot get connection. We will write that to establish a connection with the database. But when it comes to the Spring Boot, we are not doing anything. We are just configuring the properties in the application.properties file. So these are predefined keys, guys. Data source.driver class name, data source.url, data source.username, data source.password. These are the predefined properties that we are configuring in our properties file. So with these values that you are configuring, Spring Boot will establish connection pool in our application to communicate with the database. Okay, it is going to create the connection pool. The connection pool that is creating by the Spring Boot is called Hikari connection pool. That is the default connection pool that will be used in Spring Data JPA. Good. So my connection properties are configured. If you want to connect with Oracle database, that database properties you write. If you want to connect with the H2 database, that is embedded database, you write those properties here. If you want to connect with the PostgreSQL, those properties you can write here. Okay, so right. Keys are same, but values you can change as per your database. Next, I'm going to create one entity class. I'm going to create one entity class. Guys, could you please respond? What is the entity? What is entity?
The entity is a Java class which map with the database table.
Entity class interact with the database.
Yes.
Class which is present
Entity
to database table.
class
Database table.
is the one which is mapped with database table. The Java class which is mapped with the database table is called as entity class. The Java class which is mapped with the database table is called as entity class. Okay. Now here, let me take one class with a name called resource. New class. I'm going to take this class as a resource or resource details. Good. I'm keeping that inside one package called entity package. Resource details.java. I will write some properties in this class. We'll write some properties in this class. Private integer resource ID, private string resource name, private string resource skill, private string years of resource experience. Right, guys, in the company, one employee is called as one resource. In the company, one employee is called as one resource. Instead of calling as employee, here I'm calling it as a resource. One resource, nothing but one employee in the company. Good. Now, can you tell me how to represent this class as a entity class?
At the rate
By
Entity.
making a annotation at the rate entity, we can represent this class as a entity class. Right. At the rate entity. Now this class is eligible for persistent operations. Can I say this class is eligible for persistent operations now? Is this class eligible for persistent operations? Or no?
Yes.
This class is eligible for persistent operations now. Next one, I want to map this class with a table. How to map a class with a table name?
At the rate table name is equal
To resource underscore
to
resource underscore details. Galaxy 18, you are making noise, man. Right. So public class resource details, and this class I'm marking as an entity class, and it is annotated with at the rate table. That means this Java class is mapped with this database table. Now in that resource ID, I want to represent as a primary key. Okay. Now I'm going to write at the rate column annotation also. Name is equal to resource underscore ID. Resource underscore ID. Next I will go for resource name. At the rate column, name is equal to resource underscore name.
Sir, why don't you use shortcut key, sir? It will be easy to.
Yes, sir. We'll do that. Now, next one, at the rate column, that is resource skill. Name is equal to resource underscore skill. What is the primary skill of the resource? Whether it is a Java resource or testing resource or DevOps resource, we'll write it. Now, how many years of experience that person is having? Okay, resource experience. At the rate column, name is equal to resource underscore experience. Resource underscore experience. Now, can I say that this Java class is mapped with the database table? Can I say that this Java class is mapped with the database table?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
At the rate data also.
Yes, this Java class is mapped with database table. This Java class is mapped with database table. Okay. Anybody having any questions in this class?
Sir, ID is auto generated, no sir.
ID represents it is primary key. ID auto generation is not yet enabled. We'll talk about that later. Okay. First of all, I'm representing this variable is mapped with a column. That column is representing as a primary key.
Yes, sir.
Next one. To do the persistent operations, I need a repository. I need a repository. Guys, do you know how to create a repository now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
New
Interface.
new interface, resource details repository. Resource details repository. Let me keep this inside a repository package. I have created a interface. So is that interface sufficient or this interface is not sufficient?
No, we have to
It
extend
is not
the
sufficient.
Extend,
You need to extend from
extend
JPA
repository. Yes.
I don't extend that, what will happen?
it will consider as a normal interface.
It does not
Won't
create
provide-
the
It
persistent.
won't provide the method,
It
predefined method.
doesn't contain any method. It is a marker interface. There is no use of user-defined marker interfaces. There is no use of user-defined marker interfaces. Okay. Now, let me extend the properties from JPA repository. Let me extend the properties from JPA repository. It is expecting two arguments here. First one represents name of your entity class. Name of your entity class. Now, second one is primary key data type. Primary key data type. What is primary key data type?
Integer.
So you can specify integer or you can specify serializable also. Anything is fine. Serializable. Okay. Now, do I need to represent this as a string bean or I no need to represent this as a string
need.
bean?
We no need to represent.
We don't need to represent as a string by default.
Why? Because JPA repository is a predefined interface. It is a special interface. If any interface is extending the properties from the JPA repository, that interface will be scanned at the time of application startup and implementation class will be provided for the interface in the runtime. So who will provide the implementation class? Spring Boot will provide the implementation class for the interface in the runtime. Excellent. Now, so with this, we are ready with connection properties. We are ready with entity class. We are ready with repository interface. Now, I want to insert one record, guys. I want to insert one record. Could you please tell me how can I insert the record into the table now? What steps I need to do in the start class?
Get the return type of the run method.
I need
Get the
to get
return type.
Context.
bean object. So from where I can get the repository bean object?
From the
Application context.
Context. Application configuration.
How can I
Application
access the IOC
Context.
How can I access the IOC container here?
Configuration.
Configurable application
Type of the run method. I'm
Run
going to
method
take the
is-
return type of the run method, that is configurable application context object. Configurable application context object. Guys, here I'm using a shortcut to get the return types. See here. I don't want to write that complete configurable application context is equal to. I'm not interested to type those things. I want get the return type automatically by using Eclipse shortcut. Keep your cursor at the end of the line, press Ctrl+1, enter. Now I got that return type. Okay, here it is suggesting 4 names for the variable. Which one you want to choose? You select that and enter. That's it. With this, we are able to get the return type of that run method. Configurable application context. Can you tell me how to get the bean from the IOC container?
Context.get
Bean.
Context
we have to pass
Context.get
interface.
Context.get bean.
Get bean.
Context.get bean of what is that?
Repository.
Source.
We can pass the entity class.
Resource
Repository.
dot class. Now, good. With this, we are going to get the bean object, that is repository. Resource details repository bean object we got. Clear for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Resource details repository object we got. Now resource details repository, actually it is a class or it is an interface?
It is an interface.
Is it a class or is it an interface? Can we create the object for the interface or we cannot create the object for the interface?
We cannot create the object.
The object for the interface or we cannot create the object for the interface?
We
We
cannot
cannot
create the
create the
object of
object
Cannot
interface.
create the
and I-
object for the interface. We cannot create the object for the interface. If we cannot create the object for the interface, IOC can create the object for the interface, or IOC cannot create the object for the interface.
IOC also cannot create the object for the interface.
Cannot create the object for the interface. Then how can we get the bean for that interface? How
Proxy
can we
object.
get the bean for that interface?
in
Come
both
on.
will
Proxy
It
object.
create proxy object.
in both
Internally,
implementation
proxy object will be created for our interface. Internally, proxy object will be created for our interface, and that will provide the implementation for the interface. Now, by
Who will
using the
create that?
proxy object, can I perform the COD operations with the database?
Yes.
Yes, we can perform COD operations with the
Yes.
database. Now, I want to insert one record, guys. Okay, let us create first entity object and set the data. Resource details. Resource is equal to new resource details. Resource details, resource is equal to new resource details. Now set some data. Resource dot. We are not getting setter methods. The reason setters getters available for the variables are setters getters not available.
At the rate
At the
data.
rate data, we need to add.
Let us add at the rate data. Let us add at the rate data annotation so that setters getters will be generated for our variable.
Sir, with the help
we
of
got
proxy object, we can create the object for an interface.
No, sir. The proxy class will be created as an implementation class in the runtime.
Who will create that class?
CGLib, internally boot will create that.
Okay.
Object create the boot
Yes.
for interface.
Yes. Resource dot set resource ID, set resource name. Resource name is some Ganesh, and resource skill is some Java. Set resource skill, primary resource skill is Java. And the next one, resource dot set resource experience, that is 5 years. That is 5 years experienced person. Now, are we comfortable with the data setting for entity?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, I want to insert a record in the table, guys. Tell me, how can I insert a record into the table?
Resource
Resource
details-
repo dot save.
Do we
Dot
have
save
any
method.
method? Do we have any method here to insert the record into the table?
Yes, we have
Yes.
save
We
method.
have a method to insert the
Method.
record into the table.
Save
What is
method.
Save
that?
methods.
We have save method.
Save method.
Resource details repo dot save of resource. Now, what is the return type of the save method? Saved object. Same object we are going to get as a return type. Same object we are going to get as a return type. Now, if save not equal to null, we are going to write a message, record inserted successfully. System.out.println record saved. Record saved. Else failed to save the record. Failed to save the record. Failed to save the record.
So what is the return type run if it is failed? Is it null?
Yeah, if the record is not able to, so whatever the data that you pass in the entity object, same object data will come back. Okay. Actually, we will check based on the primary key when I use the generator. As of now, I have not explained the generator. At that time, you will get more clarity on that.
Okay.
Currently, the return type of the save method, whatever the entity object you pass, the same object will come back as a return value.
If it is fails, it will come null, right?
Yeah, but if it is failed, nothing will be there. Null.
Okay.
Don't we need to commit the transaction? I mean, there
No,
is
sir.
no
The transaction by default auto commit mode.
Okay.
By default, the transactions are auto commit mode.
Can you store that save method return type as a resource object itself?
Yeah, that is what I stored, right?
No, resource object is there, right?
You want to reassign the variable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. That's
Okay.
also fine. You can do that.
Okay.
Can we map two entity class to same database table?
No. One table contain one entity.
Okay.
Okay, right, good. So, are you comfortable with the code that I have written? First, I am taking the return type of the run method. Based on the IOC reference, I am getting the repository bean object. I'm setting the data to my entity class to insert that. In order to insert a record, I'm calling predefined method, which is called save repository.save method by passing a resource object. Then I'm printing a message. The record is saved or record is not saved. Good. Can we run this application now?
So table is not created yet.
Run as boot application. Try to run this.
Table does not exist.
See the console. See the console. Application got terminated.
Sir, did you add Spring Web dependency?
No. What is happened here? Record saved. Now check in the database. Select start from resource underscore details. Select start from resource underscore details. So do we have that record inserted or not?
Yes.
Yes.
The record is inserted into database table. Luckily, the table is available in the database. Okay. Now drop table resource underscore details. Drop the table resource underscore details. I'm deleting the table from database table. Okay. Table dropped. Table dropped from the table. Dropped from the database. Now execute this. Is the table exist in the database? A table not exist in the database?
Table not exist in database.
Not exist in the database. Now run the program again. Run the program again.
Table does not.
Yeah, this time we got the exception. This time we got the exception. So see what is the exception that we got. Table or view does not exist. So why we are getting this exception?
Because the table is not available in the database.
Perfect. We don't have table in the database. That's why our application is failed to insert the record. Now, I don't want to create the table manually in the database. I want the data JPA to create the table. For that, we are going to write ORM properties. So in the Hibernate, you might have learnt about auto DDL. Okay. So can I configure auto DDL here also?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Spring dot JPA dot spring dot JPA dot Hibernate spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl hyphen auto. So there are several options available. Guys, could you please see those options here?
Create,
Drop, none, update, validate.
Right. Now here we are going to use create option. Here we are going to use the create option. Hibernate.ddl-auto create. That means it is used to execute the DDL, data definition language queries. Auto DDL is going to enable for our application. Now run the same program again and see the behavior. Observe our console. First, what happened in the console?
Drop table resource details cascade constraints.
First, whenever the application started, it is trying to drop the existing table. Okay, but table available already to drop it or table not available already to drop it?
Not available.
Table is not available to drop it. That's why it got failed. Okay. Now, after that, it is saying the table not exist. It is tried to drop the table not exist. After the table is created, then the record is inserted. Okay. Now, check the table in the database. Check the table in the database. Do we have the record or not?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Record is available. Now, I want to insert one more record, 1 or 2, some Mahesh. He is DBA. Okay, he is having 7 years. Good. Now tell me what will happen when I execute this application.
Our existing table will be dropped. Again, another new table will be created with 1 or 2 record.
Exactly. So can we see the previous data, which is Ganesh record in the table, or I can't see the previous record in the table?
I can't see.
Can't see.
Cannot see the previous record in the table, because whenever you give option as a create, always it will create the new table. If the table is already existing, it is going to delete the old table and it is going to create the new table. Good, check it. Run this program. Record is saved. Good. Go to database. Earlier there is a record for 101 with Ganesh. Now try this. 102 Mahesh record is there. What about Ganesh record?
Sir, dropped. Table dropped.
Yeah. So now, do I need to explain any theory about the create option, or you already understood?
Understood.
Create option. You understood, right? And if you want more clarity, you print the queries on the console, man. So do you know how to print queries on the console?
Spring dot.
So SQL.
Spring dot.
So SQL.
Spring dot.
Spring dot.
JPA.
JPA dot. Show SQL property we are giving as true.
True.
What this property will do?
It will display the query which is
Query display cell.
Where it displays the console.
It will print the queries. Whatever the queries that are generated by the data JPA, those queries will be printed on the console. Programmer can see the queries with the highs. Okay. Now here I'm calling save method, but actually how the query is getting executed, what query it is generating, I don't know. That is abstraction for us. If you want to see the queries on the console, then you can enable that property show SQL is equal to true. Then those queries will be printed on the console. Perfect. Now, same program I'm going to execute. This time I am giving 103 and Ramesh. Okay, now run the program. Observe the console. Observe the console. See here what happened. How many queries are executed?
4 queries.
4 queries. Why 4 queries are executed?
First table is dropping.
First table dropped, then create the table.
As I have given option as a create, it has to create the table again. Okay. As the table is already, it will blindly it will try to delete the table with the name. It is dropping the table. It created the table. After that, why select query is executed?
Check the record is there or not.
If record exists or not.
Check the record is
If
there or
record,
not.
is a
yes.
polymorphic
It is checking
method, right?
whether the record is available in the database table or not. Okay.
Yes.
The record is not available. That's why it
Insert.
executed that query. Very good. Now I will specify 7 years to 8 years. I will run the same program. Now insert query will execute or update query will execute.
Insert query.
Update query.
Insert
query.
Update query.
Insert with the primary key record is already available or record is not available.
Available.
Record is available.
So insert query will execute or update query will execute.
Update query will be executed.
Anyway,
Record is available,
but the create will drop that.
You are trapped.
Sir, anyway, this table will be deleted, right?
That is what I just tried to confuse you.
It will.
Apply your common sense. So I told you, I'm trying to trap you. I told that primary key is already available. So you are saying that it will execute the update query. First of all, this record will be available in the table or table will be deleted.
The table
will be deleted.
Whatever it may be, table will be deleted.
Table will be deleted. If the table will be deleted, this record will be available with 103 or record will not be available with 103.
Not available.
Not available.
Will be not
So
available.
103. So which query will execute now?
insert.
That query only is going to execute.
Insert.
Did you understand, sir? You need to have confidence when you are answering a question.
Sir,
Everything step by step we are discussing. Now execute it.
every request is treated as a new request in this scenario.
Exactly. When you give DDL auto option as a create, existing table itself will be deleted. Now see here, insert query executed or update query is executed.
Insert.
Query.
Why insert query executed for the same record?
This table was deleted.
You see the console. You see the console. You can answer. Table itself is deleted. Table created again. Empty table is created. No records available in the table. Then with 103, it is checking the record is available or not. Record is not available. Then it
Not
is
available.
insertion. It is doing what? Insertion. Very good.
Sir, create option every time delete the table, then create the table. Then why select query is executed?
Select query is executed as part of the save method, sir.
Sir, in this time no query, no method is available. Then
they did not implement that functionality, sir. They have done operation whenever auto DDL create is there, blindly they are deleting that record. Whenever you call the save method, blindly they are checking if the record is available or not. So these are two different operations. It is not considered as a single operation.
Okay.
On which real-time scenario it will be applicable?
Right. Now, next one, create is there, create-drop is available. Create-drop is available. It is very funny. Create-drop is very funny, guys. Execute it.
Will create once application stopping its delete.
Excellent. See the queries.
It's creating the table in application.
No. First, what is happened?
Drop table, sir.
Drop the table.
Drop the table. Then
Creating the table.
Then
selecting. Inserting.
Record is available to check whether it is checking whether record is available or not. Record is not available because table is recreated.
Drop it.
What is happened here?
Insert the record.
Record is saved. Finally,
dropped the table.
So can I see the data in the database, or I cannot see the data in the database?
We cannot see that.
We cannot see that.
Okay, it is deleting the existing table. It is creating the table. It is inserting the data. Finally, it is deleting the table also.
No purpose.
That is create-drop option. Create, drop. So the tables will be available when your application is executing. Once your application is getting stopped, the database also will be, table also will be deleted. Okay. Next one is update option, guys. Next one is the update option. Okay. Now run the application once. Run the application once. Go to console.
New record will be inserted.
Now, guys, see here what happened.
Create, select, and insert, sir. Not drop option, sir.
Table.
Created the table. Checking the record is available or not. Then inserted the record into the table. Okay? And record is inserted. Yes. Very good. Very good. Now, let me go for 104. 104. Now, what will happen? Guys, can you please tell me?
New
Both are
record will be
Select and
inserted.
insert.
Table
Select and
will be
insert.
existing.
Table is not available, so then insert that.
No.
Table cannot be
No,
dropped.
no, table will be
Table will be available.
It will insert the record.
Available.
With
It will
select and insert.
select and
both data
insert.
available.
Only record
Record
is
is not
inserted.
available.
For record is not available.
Table
Record is
can
not
be
available.
dropped. Will
New
will
record
data
will
available, sir.
be
existing table.
available. New record will be inserted.
Yes. It will use existing table.
How many queries are executed now?
Select insert, sir.
Select and insert.
Select insert.
Select query executed. Table is recreating or table is not recreating?
Not
Created, not created.
Table is not recreating.
Recreating.
Now, whenever you call the save method, it is just checking whether the record is available in the table or not. It is checking whether the record is available in the table or not. Now, as the record is not available in the table, that record got inserted.
Insert.
Okay. Now, from 8 years, I'm changing to 8.5 years. Got it? If I run this application, what will happen?
Data update, sir.
Update, sir.
Will it insert or it will update now?
Update.
Update.
Why it will update? Why it will update?
Data already insert, sir.
Primary key already present.
Data already
Record is already available in the table with
available
the
in the
ID
data.
104. So it is just going to update the record.
Update that.
Now check it. It is checking the record is available in the table or not. Record is already available.
Yes.
Yes,
The
sir.
given
Yes, sir.
data record is already available in the table or not.
Available.
Yes,
Yeah.
record is already available. So it is just updated the record in the table. Now, if I run this program once again, same program I will run again without changing anything. What will happen?
Just to select query will be executed. That's all.
Just to select query will execute. Will insert query or update query will execute or will not execute?
It will not
Will
execute.
not
Will
execute.
not execute.
Check it. Run the program. Only select query is executed. No other query got executed here. What is the reason for that?
Because this
Already
The
data
primary key,
insert,
all the
sir.
record is available in the table.
Yes.
And then it is comparing database record values, our entity object values. Is there any difference or there is no difference?
no difference.
There is no difference. So if then there is no when there is no change in the data, why to update the record again? So that's why it is just executed select query. It understood that record is available and data is also same in the entity and data is same within the entity and the table. That's why the update query also not executed. Now, if I change from 8.5 years to 9, now database table data, my entity object data, both are same or both are different?
Both are
Both
different.
are same.
Different. So update query will be
Both are different. If both are different, what will happen?
update query will be
Update query, sir.
Update query is going to execute. Update query is going to execute now. So when I give update option, how many times the table will be created?
only one time.
Only one time, sir.
Only one time. When I give create,
Every time it will create.
when I give create, what is happening?
It will create every time new table.
Create
Every
options.
time the table is getting created. When I give create, every time table is creating. Now, guys, in the real time, this update option will be used because tables will be created only one time. Okay, old data we can see when you go for update option. When you go for create option, whenever you are running the application, if you want to create the fresh tables, you want to delete the old data and you want to generate the fresh data in the database tables, then you will go for create option. Create and drop. I want to use the tables only when my application is running. After that, I don't want to use it. Temporary purpose tables. Temporary purpose. If my program is running, then I want the data. If my program is stopped, I don't want the data. Then you will go for create and drop. In the real-time projects, we don't use create, drop options because we should not delete the data in the real time. So we don't enable this auto DDL in the real-time environment. This property will be used only in the local for practice purpose. In the real-time projects, we are not going to configure this property. These two properties we will use only in the local environment. We don't use them in the production. Why show SQL should not be used in the production? Unnecessarily, so many queries will print on the console, which will decrease performance of the application. And why auto DDL will not be enabled in the production? Always it will try to create the tables or it will try to delete the tables. So unnecessarily, we don't want to do that operation. That's why we don't enable these properties in the production. Only in the local environment, we are going to use these properties. Got my point? So whenever you are practicing these examples, so instead of creating the database table manually in the database, you just enable DDL auto with the update. Based on your entity, table will be created in the database for your practice. So that's why I've explained about this DDL auto concept. Got my point, guys?
Yes, sir. Sir, in real time, DB team will create the database, right?
Right, in the in the real time database team will create the tables first, then you will start the development.
Okay, sir.
And here we'll do the only validate, right?
Exactly.
Sir, in Java and in Oracle, data type is different, but when I'm giving the my hibernate.ddl auto is create, then how it will decide what will be the data type of the column, database table column.
Can you come again?
Sir, in Java and in Oracle, data type is different. Okay, but when I give the proper
Got it, sir. Whenever you specify an integer that is equals to number in the database, okay? Integer are long when you specify that is equal to number. When you specify a string that is equal to varchar in the database, like that mapping will be there.
Okay. So can you specify the size also?
Yes, you can specify length also, not size, length.
Length, okay.
Sir, I have a doubt. As you said earlier, the table will be created by DB team. So how we will create the entity table means generally it happens that we create entity class in our project and then it
By looking at the database table structure, you will create the entities. Here, there are some tools available based on the database structure. You can create the entities. Based on the entities, you can generate. Reverse engineering concept is available.
Okay.
If you install Hibernate tools in our IDE, JPA tools or Hibernate tools, if you select your database schema, it will load all the tables. For those tables, our IDE will create the entities directly.
Okay. So are we going to try that also or?
Yeah, I will show you one example for that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, we already have save method. Then why we are updating to like in the properties? It is also working as a create and insert.
Sir, this update is not to update the record. It is used to create the table.
Sir, for this we are using save method, no?
Man, you are confusing. Save method is used to insert the record or update the record. What is the purpose of update option here?
It is used to create and check. Check then create the table and then insert and update queries.
That is different. This is different, right?
Previously, we created the table.
This is a DDL command, that is a DML command, right?
This update is a DDL option. Whether to create the table or not, it will decide. Save method is a DM, that is a data man, it is inserting the record. That is for executing the query. This is for creating the table.
Update nothing but a DML command, sir, not a DDL command.
I'm not talking about update command. Update method is a DML. Okay. The DDL auto option value is updated. It is a property value, sir. So the existing data will not be deleted whenever you use this update option. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yep.
Sir, in this using data JPA na?
Where?
Sir, what is purpose of Hibernate? You are using Spring Data.jpa Hibernate.ddl.
There is a predefined property, sir. Property. There are two ways. You can write spring.jpa.properties.hibernate or something like that. You can write, or this also you can write. Spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl. Keys.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, in entity class, can I mention
what you want to?
in this column, sir? Resource, capital letters. It is
You can-
mandatory when you mention it.
You can give anything, but in the database, it will consider everything as a capital letters.
Okay.
Okay. Right, guys?
Okay, sir.
With this, you understand how to develop an application by using data JPA, how to connect with the database, how to use CRUD repository, how to use the JPA repository, what are the predefined methods, what are the find by methods, how to execute custom queries, okay, how to print queries on the console, what is pagination, what is sorting, what is query by example executor. Okay, good.
Dialect, when will explain the dialect?
I will explain that also, sir. I will explain that part. Okay, good. Fine, guys. Tomorrow we don't have a session. Okay, tomorrow is Sunday. We don't have a class for tomorrow. I want all of you to practice these examples. I think you don't have some time to practice. You are attending project batch also parallelly. Okay, so can you take tomorrow for your practice purpose, or you want me to give some assignment?
No, sir.
For practice.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. Practice. Practice.
Assignment. No, sir.
Practice करना, sir. Please practice the data
Practice.
JPA example tomorrow.
Yes.
Please, we'll continue our class on the Monday. Monday, I will give you the assignment. Tomorrow, in the project batch also, I gave you assignment to watch the Jenkins videos, right? I think you will be busy with that. So to the people who are not attending project, please practice these examples related to data JPA. We'll continue on Monday.
Sir, I sent you the mail for the absconding. I just discussed, but I didn't get any response from you.
So I will check that and I will reply to that.
Hello, sir.